Hey everybody, welcome to TA Tuesday. A lot of stuff going on, and this was a segment I created a long time ago, thinking not many people would be interested, and then I stopped doing it for a couple of weeks, and people were saying, no, they missed TA Tuesday. So sorry we missed it last week, because I was on with Jeff Booth. But we're back again, and we're going to talk about Fed signals and what that means for the crypto market and the market in general. So, as you know, MMF... and this is Edutainment. Let's jump in. First of all, alarm bells are ringing all over the world. Bank of England calls for a global tightening of crypto regulation. They've been rattling their sabers for a long time right now, but they're getting very, very nervous. And this is all against the backdrop of the European Central Bank printing like crazy. And the Bank of England is in even worse shape than European Central Bank. But I'll talk more about this in a minute too. So what is this all about? Why do we care about money printing and everything else? Central banks, IMF, Lagarde, you name it. It's because it has a huge impact on everything. The economy, growth, inflation, crypto, stock market, etc. So the Federal Reserve met today. The meeting again tomorrow. And they are probably going to talk about a more rapid transition away from its easing policies, quantitative easing, which means money printing. And tomorrow we will get a signal from exactly what they're going to do. And it'll set the stage probably for the first potential interest rate hike next year, which is a year ahead of schedule. They said they weren't going to hike rates until 2023. That's now probably off the table because inflation is out of control. By the way, rumor has it that the Fed and other places are going to find a new way of calculating CPI, which is the consumer price index, which is inflation, which would be very interesting. They probably just look at the increase of cost of lemon juice and pistachios and take everything else off the table, which would be quite interesting to watch. Anyway, my take is very simple. I think they need to show that they mean business without, of course, interrupting economic growth or unemployment. And as a result, I think they may accelerate the taper, which means from the reduction of 12.5%, maybe increase that reduction to 25%. And maybe threaten to increase interest rates as well sometime next year in 2022. So we'll see, but that'll have a big impact on the market. Now let's look at a couple of charts. In fact, a lot of charts today. So this is the Fear and Greed Index on a chart. And where I have the red arrows typically indicate buy zones or kill zones. And here we are. Historically, it has been a very accurate buy signal. Not financial advice, but every time there's maximum fear, like around the 20% level, it's a great time to buy crypto. You can literally almost take this to the central bank. Who knows? So we're at that level now, and people are very frustrated. You can nearly gauge greed and fear by comments out there on Twitter and YouTube, but we'll see what happens. Now let's look at a cool chart here, which I found fascinating, and a big thank you. Actually, I don't even know who sent this to me. I may have even found it myself. I can't remember. Anyway, this is cool. It shows Bitcoin price visualized, and grayscale buying visualized, and whale buying visualized. Now, the orange circle are basically whales, whales buying Bitcoin. The blue circle is, let me get this right. The blue circle is whales buying Bitcoin as well. And the rate of grayscale growth. This is kind of confusing, but I kind of drew some arrows in here to explain exactly what this means. But basically, at the bottom, you can see grayscale was done buying early this year. So all that teal color went away. And the orange indicates when whales buy on their own without grayscale buying. And now, for the first time in a while, we see the whales actually buying again. So they were selling quite a bit, and a whale is defined as somebody with over 1,000 Bitcoin, and now they're buying again. So the fact that they are accumulating at this price is a very positive sign for us. Now let's talk about retail. The other side of that, the non-whale people like you and I, retail investors have been buying the dip. I know we've had at least 4 or 5 new whole coiners in the community over the past 5 or 6 days, which is awesome. And retail investors have hit a new all-time high. It's about 3.3 million wallets, apparently, have over 0.1 Bitcoins, which is awesome. And we'll continue to watch this continue further as we go up. So the more people that have Bitcoin, obviously, the better it is for the space. Now, let's talk a bit about following the money before we jump in. A couple of interesting things happened here. Obviously, with all the panic selling that was focused on Bitcoin over the last 10, 11, 12 days, despite this, on an aggregate basis, Bitcoin still saw inflows totaling $51 million. And despite the trading volumes across investment products fell by about 13% for the week, Ethereum saw outflows of about $17 million. And this is for the first time in about 6 weeks for Ethereum. But what was really interesting is Solana and Tron both had the same amount of inflow. Solana had about 18.8 million and Tron 17.2 million. And there is a rumor flying around that the recent price appreciation of Tron is because they are now branding themselves as a world computer, like ICP. But I hope the performance isn't anything like ICP as we go forward. Anyway, that's been huge. The rest are all flat, but the money is still going into Solana all the time. But we'll talk about Solana lately as to some of the problems that they are having again. So Dixie, this is the dollar index. Big thank you to Sanjay for sending this in. Justin Bennett tweeted this, and it was a cool chart about the dollar index. And one of the reasons he is not getting back into crypto yet is because he doesn't know where this is going to go. And it's no coincidence that Bitcoin topped out at $69,000 on the day that the US dollar started to rally on November 10th. So if you see that little light blue box, that's November 10th. And the Dixie rallying. Now we've been consolidating a little bit to the side, and it's up against this resistance in that little pennant shape there. So we'll see. I think everybody is kind of in a holding pattern, waiting to see what's going to happen tomorrow in the FOMC meeting as we go forward. So watch that space carefully. So why is the dollar index strong? So I tweeted this earlier today, and I spoke about the fact that US money printing is crazy, but the European Central Bank is printing even more. And the big message here is the dollar is strong because all the other currencies are debasing faster than the dollar. But all fiats are going down quickly. So another way of looking at this is another $2.5 trillion was approved. This is what they call the debt ceiling in the US. And it was approved by the Senate, and made a little bit of fun of this actual print. It looks like I'm reading something from the 1850s written in cowboy print. But the point here is they allocated another $2.5 trillion to the debt ceiling, and they believe the government will be covered for next year, 2022, in all their expenses that they need to make. But when you think about $2.5 trillion, that's the equivalent of the average salary of 47 million Americans. It is a massive amount of money. It's about a third of the workforce. So just to put that in perspective, people don't realize the size of $1 trillion and how governments are printing trillions and trillions and trillions all the time. It is incredible. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about this. This is the Real Vision bot from Raoul Pal's company. And it was super interesting. I track this every week, and it was super interesting to see this week's survey results. That traders mostly prefer a portfolio that is overweight in Ethereum, with 84% of respondents selecting ETH as the number one coin to go heavy in on. Now, there could be a little bit of bias there because people that follow the Real Vision bot probably listen a lot to Raoul Pal. Full respect, of course, to Raoul. But in second place was the smart contract platform Solana, followed by Crypto King Bitcoin, and the number fourth place was Ethereum scaling solution Polygon Matic. Notice those four are actually my top four too. And it's the first time ever that my top four that have been that way since the beginning of this year are now in the top four of this Real Vision. And it's funny because I always spoke about the money flowing to quality at this late stage of the bull run, and that's exactly what's happening. And this verifies that. Number 5 was Decentraland with about 43% of traders. And Engine Coin, I think, was next, or top 10 or whatever. Anyway, it's a hard eye chart, but I thought that was interesting to see. So I've chosen the top 4 for the cryptos that I analyzed today. So considering everybody probably holds them, or at least most of them. So first of all, let's look at Bitcoin. And this is my 3-step process I've been speaking about for a couple of weeks now. And it all became very apparent from me seeing this pattern fold out. It's basically every 90 days, Bitcoin jumps $10,000. It consolidates for about 2-3 weeks, or during the summer, you could say we consolidated for 2 months. And then it moves again. So we are here. And we just saw a big spike in Bitcoin happening. It just shot up $1,500 a few hours ago. And that could be because of what's happening with the Fed. I'll talk more about that in a minute too. But here we are. Now, Bitcoin is right on the 50-day moving average. That's the blue line. In fact, it's just a bit above that right now. And I believe the 47K, which I've been talking about, we've been hovering around that $47,000 level for ages, for 12 days now. And it breached it a couple of times, but came right back. So we'll see. I do believe tomorrow's action by the Fed will trigger action in Bitcoin, and I think it's going to be positive. 80% sure it's going to be positive and up from here. So could it be? Wait for the rumor and buy the news? I think so. So let's see what else is going on in terms of Bitcoin. This is the Bitfinex Bids on the option action that's out there. Now you can see from this chart, the balance of power is about 48,500 right there in the middle. There are no bids, or very, very few bids for anything under 47,000. So that's a very bullish sign. So this tells me as well, the smart money is betting heavily on this. And this chart came out before that $1,500 spike today. So maybe the market is reacting to the amount of options bids. So there's no max pain out there. So we'll see what happens. But I thought that was super interesting to see exactly where people are placing their bets. Now let's look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum has been on a roller coaster, bouncing between 4,000, 4,800 a bunch of times, between 4,000 and 4,800 a bunch of times over the past couple of weeks. And right now we are bouncing off the 0.382 Fibonacci level, and we're looking to get back up above the 50-day moving average. You can see some of the indicators I have drawn in there in my line, so you can see exactly what I see when I'm talking about. I've got the level 1 support at 2,400, level 2, 2,940, and then on to level 0, which is kind of the floor at 3,700. Level 1 resistance, 4,150, and level 2 resistance, which is about 4,850, which we're having a hard time breaking to get above the 5,000 level. Now, it's very important to watch Ethereum because that dictates exactly what's going on. We didn't get near the 200-day moving average, which is a very good sign. But we're looking to get back up above the 50-day moving average. That's that little red line there. So fingers crossed that'll happen soon. Now, there's another thing that I'm playing with too, and this is kind of like trying to build a signal indicator with some exponential moving averages. And right now, it is getting close to being at a buy signal where we move up from here. But I'm pretty confident we're going to go back to 4,500, 4,800 over the next couple of weeks as we go forward. Now let's talk about Solana. Solana has been peppered with attacks. If you just Google DDOS attack Solana, you will find hundreds of articles. Nothing but article after article saying it was attacked. No, it wasn't. It was congested. But it's enough to make everybody freak out and give up and sell and whatever else. So basically, Solana's had a lot of selling pressure over the last week or two. And here we are. Now, this is the exact transaction stats that show you that the congestion, not an attack, reduced the transaction speed by about 60%, 65%. So not good. And it all comes from Radium and NFTs. And that's the problem with a chain that has a lot of adoption and growth. It does sometimes is a victim of its own success. So that's what's happened to FUD. And when we look at the Solana chart, it is not pretty. It is quite ugly. And here you can see what I'm trying to make of this. I got some of my new indicator lines in there I'm playing with. But basically, support was not found at half the 0.5 Fibonacci level, and the 0.382 Fibonacci level was breached. It also fell through the 50-day moving average. And we are back at levels we have not seen in 90 days. So if you bought Solana 90 days ago, you are at break even right now. And I know that's painful for a lot of people when they want to 10x their money, but that's just the nature of crypto. So the good news is, though, per this new indicator, we could result in a very bullish trigger happening real soon at the $165 level, which we are currently, let me check the chart, about $3.50 from. By the way, when I created this, Solana was at 153, 154. So it's come a long way just in a few hours. That's how quickly this space can move. But there is some other very positive news for Solana. And this is another ratio I look at. It's the SOL to ETH ratio. And I use this heavily for my price prediction models. So this is extremely bullish. Because when I look at this ratio, we are down to kind of a 3-month low. And this is the 0.04 ratio of Solana to ETH. So basically, once Ethereum starts to rock and roll back to that $4,800 level, I believe Solana will go back to $250. And the reason for that is very simple. It's math. The Solana to ETH ratio averages, the 50-day moving average is about 0.05. And if ETH is 5K, you take 0.05 multiplied by 5K, you get $250. It's that simple. And that's also the kill zone here of when you look at this particular ratio. This is a very good buying opportunity for Solana as benchmarked against Ethereum. So I hope that's clear. I thought that was a very good positive sign that although the other chart didn't look like we were close to bottoming, a buy signal was coming in per this chart as a respective value against Ethereum. It's damn cheap. So hope that helps. Now, speaking of, the fourth one is Polygon Matic. Here, this is a super interesting chart, and there's so much to unpack here for everybody. We got Fibonacci levels, we got Bollinger Bands, we got my new indicator, we have 200-day moving averages. So let's try and go through this. So first of all, the blue line across the middle is a 200-day moving average. And the way in which Matic bounces off this is insane. Then the next thing is when we went above the Bollinger Band, you can see where I have overbought. It was a time where when we had Matic shoot to $2.60, that was clearly in no man's land and overbought. Now, the other interesting thing is it's also bouncing off the 0.302 Fibonacci support level. But the problem is the EMA cross, my new thing, is showing a bearish sign. Now, I'm not sure if I can take that to the bank yet. I'm doing some more testing, but we'll see. And that's it. So that's Matic as we are right now. Overall, it doesn't look that good. I think it needs to consolidate a little while longer before it can run up again to $3. But I have upgraded my target. My target was 298 for Matic for year end. It's up to about 350 now for those of you who care for exits. And I'll have an exit plan for this one as well as we go forward. So next piece in the box is Tesla. As you guys know, I got into the biggest short of my life against Tesla because I thought it was completely overbought, and it's worked out very well. So here we look at the Tesla chart. It shot up to nearly $1,300, and that was up from about $700 in just a matter of weeks. So under this, you can see we are under the 0.382 fib level. The 0.5 level will be about 880. My target that I told you all weeks ago that it was going to come down to the 850 to 950 level. Today we fell to the 920s. Now, Elon Musk was having fun, of course, with Doge. He said he would accept Dogecoin for merchandise. And if you know Tesla stores, they sell t-shirts and floor mats. So it's not like he's selling a car for Doge. I thought it was very funny. But he likes messing with people. He was messing with Elizabeth Warren today as well, which is kind of funny. But here you can see the mean reversion falling down to that support level, mean reversion falling down, mean reversion falling down. Elon Musk is still selling. You can clearly see where it's overbought. According to all my indicators, we still have a little more to go. But, you know, this is a very powerful stock that has a very bright future. So we'll see. I think 850 would be the rock bottom. But at the same time, it's, you know, in that 850 to 950 level, if you don't have any Tesla, it's worth picking up a little bit right now. So that's the Tesla news. And finally, Palantir. A lot of you always ask me about Palantir. This one is clearly oversold. Now, Palantir is an interesting kettle of fish because the executive comp plans are extremely generous. They give themselves a lot of stock, and they're dumping a lot of stock. And that's taking its toll on the stock price. So, net, I also don't like the fact that Palantir will not be profitable for the next 3 years, but their growth is exceptional. So they're growing fast, they're building well, they're hedging themselves by buying gold. I don't know what that's going to do. That's a bit of a stupid move, but that's their prerogative. I think they're expecting dark times. And you know, maybe they could be right. We had this conversation that they do anticipate maybe a black swan in the future. And that's where they were buying gold, because they envision the world maybe going back to its caveman days. So we'll watch this carefully. But net, here we are, clearly oversold, totally out of the fib levels, way under all the averages. Bullish indicators are coming in. I think this is a perfect range play. I always say between 18 and 28 is a nice swing place. And I do believe I could hit 24 to 28 bucks in the next 6 months. That's Palantir. So with that, I'm going to open up to some Q&A and hope you liked it. And let me know if you have any suggestions for things you'd like me to cover. But we covered a whole bunch of different types of technical things that I look at. Ratios, pairs, Bollinger bands. And once I refine that new EMA cross indicator, I'm trying to dial it in to make sure it works effectively all the time. I'll share it with you guys too. So with that, let's go to some questions and see how everybody's doing. Bear with me 1 second. To make sure everything was okay. All right, now, where are my questions? There we are. All right. Oh, a lot of questions. Whoops. I thought it'd be a quiet Tuesday. So we got Bad Kitty in DC. When you draw the fib lines, you do it from the wick to the top or the body of the candle. So what I do is I look at 3 to 6 month frames. I look at the bottom and the top, and that's for the retracements. And then for extensions, that's different. It's a different tool. So I do it both ways. I have a how to draw TA video on Fibonacci lines, Bad Kitty. But I think it's most valuable for retracements to really identify support lines. And I use that to identify my limit orders for buying. So that's why it's important to look at. I had to get my tea. Okay, Crypto Creed. I'm planning to swap Cardano to Link. Please advise. Also, why would Sailor only buy OTC? Why wouldn't he want the price to be moved higher? If he sells OTC, will the price drop? Interesting one there. So Crypto Creed, first of all, Cardano is so oversold. Let me see if I could even pull it up here for you guys. Like it's down at $1.25 right now. Selling for Link. Link is beat to hell. I think Link is one of those things that I actually bought a little bit of Link a few days ago when it was at 20 bucks, and now it's at $18.30, so it's even fell further. I just believe Link is a massively undervalued oracle, but nobody seems to care about oracles these days. So, but I do think it probably will run a lot faster. I think Link should definitely be $65, maybe $70 during this bull run, if there is a bull run at all anymore. So we'll see. So that could be a good idea. Now, your other question, why would Sailor only buy over the counter? They have to buy over the counter because they're buying such huge amounts of crypto, like 5,000, 10,000 coins at a time. So you can't just buy them on the market because you'll move the market. Now, if he sells OTC, will the price drop? First of all, he's not going to sell. He told the world that, at least not for a decade plus. And basically the way OTC happens, it happens behind the scenes so as not to rattle the markets. So what exchanges do, like Coinbase, they have a lot of OTC customers, and they will pull crypto off and set it aside for a customer. So sometimes the price they pay is really bad. But when you want to buy 10,000 Bitcoin, you can't just say, oh, Bitcoin's at 57,300 now, I'm going to buy 10,000. No, because it'll make the price go crazy. We've already seen that if a whale on a weekend with low volume dumps 2,000 to 5,000 Bitcoin, they can crash the market with that little volume. So hope that helps, Crypto Creed. MT, time and intrinsic value. What do you mean by this with options? So time value is what you pay for. So if you imagine Tesla is at $1,000 and you buy a call option going out a year, if you buy the strike at 1,000 and the stock is at 1,000, you're spending about $250 on time value. And that just dwindles away. It's like a melting ice cube, just like your fiat money. The intrinsic value is the amount in the contract. So if Tesla goes to 1,050, you have $50 of intrinsic value against $1,000 strike. So it's very, very important to know all this backwards, inside and out, and know how to be able to price options before you ever trade options. So be careful out there. Scipio Azama. If this December weakness is tax related, and I think it is, does that mean people will buy back in this coming January? Yes. So there's a couple of things happening in December. Window shopping happens where funds kill their weak holdings and replace them with strong ones. Everybody's going to be buying Tesla. That's why even with the intense selling pressure from Elon Musk, the buying pressure is still there. People are buying it, and they're big institutional investors. The second thing is people that are tax loss selling. They're selling their dogs. So they're not selling their winning holdings. So that's the other thing as well. So unless, of course, they have a lot of losses, then they can sell something they're profitable in to make sure they got zero tax. So that can happen. But yeah, typically, if people can make it work out, they will do that. So you're dead right. Luke Broyles, ever see ETH going back down below 1500? Matic below 70 or Sol below 140 with the three best smart contract platforms just trend up with time despite bear market? Interesting question. So $1,500 ETH, yeah, it's possible. I mean, we had $3,500 ETH a few days ago, and that was a big move down. I don't think, though, ETH can go that low because it's so heavily utilized, and they're going to start implementing their proof of stake platform soon, and that's going to bring about a huge amount of deflation pressure. So ETH, no. Matic, I think Matic's going from strength to strength. I don't believe below 0.7. And Solana 140, I mean, Solana got real close to that. We saw Solana hit, what was it, 153. So we're, let me see, even today, not today, it is 160. Well, we just switched to a new day. We hit 147. So Solana was $7 off of 140. That's definitely possible because we were just there. I didn't think we'd see Solana under 165, 170. And here we are. But all the FUD and negative publicity, that does take a toll. That makes people lose faith. It makes a lot of retail investors sell. And also there's so many people, you know, when you are the prize fighting winner, everybody goes after you. And that's kind of the position that Solana has. So everybody's just going after Solana and just wants to see them fail. That's just human nature. But I stick with the data, look at the quant, look at the growth. And again, like Ethereum, they get congested too. So hope that helps. Sim, up to what price point should I continue to accumulate this? I keep buying the dip and it keeps dipping. I don't know what you're buying, but yeah, if you look at things like Bitcoin, if we're talking about Bitcoin, then you just look at the stages. That's why I like that 3-step platform. And you zoom out, look at the last 12 months or 9 months, 10 months, 12 months, whatever, and you will see how it progresses. Look at the fear and greed index. Look at all the other things. Look when the whales start to buy, like the last 2 days. Then you know it's a good time to buy. But it is painful for people. I mean, if I looked at a chart going back to the 13th of December, 2020. So it was exactly a year ago, yesterday. Bitcoin's up 188% in a year. And people aren't happy with that. It's nearly 3x'd. So you could have bought Bitcoin for what was 18,000 on December 13th. And now it's 48,000. So that 3x isn't enough for some people. But if in doubt, zoom out. This is still a very special asset. And I know things like Tesla can double pretty fast. But there's not a lot of things that double, especially of that size. So the performance of Bitcoin is still outstanding. And you take Ethereum, that's done a 7x in the same time frame. Solana has done a 20x, so 30x, 50x, 100x. I don't even know what it is anymore. It's crazy. So remember, crypto is extremely volatile. That's why it's so fascinating. But you got to roll with the punches and time your entries very carefully and be patient. Don't expect, if we go through a 60-day period or 90-day period where things are down or flat, don't worry. overall it'll go up, as long as you're in the right holdings too. Crypto Creed, any idea why CleanSpark dropped today after market hours? I honestly did not see that, but I can find out right now as to why. Hold on a second. I noticed things like Riot are down under where they were a year ago. So the miners getting trashed, and they're getting trashed. I don't know what the reason is for CleanSpark. I can't see any news or warnings. They all got a whole bunch of miners. I'm not sure, but I tell you the background story with the miners is because the hash rate's up so much. You know, they were just mining Bitcoin, some of them like every 10 minutes because they had so much hash rate. Now the market's getting much more competitive because everybody's funding miners. The hash rate's going through the roof. We hit a new all-time high. And it's much harder now to mine Bitcoin as quickly. So all the people that factored in, it's like, oh, these guys are going to keep mining this many Bitcoin per hour or per day like they were over the past couple of months. That's not sustainable. And that's the problem with miners. And that's why I always said, since day one, mining is a cutthroat business. So be very careful. It is just, you're up against El Salvador with free energy, Ukrainians and Kazakhstan and everybody else. So we'll see. But I can't find any news release on why CleanSpark is down. But I will check it out. And again, it was pity because we got in a little over $10, shot to 24, right back to 12. And that's just the nature of the beast. I didn't short. I normally short after a big move. I didn't short against CleanSpark because I'd expected Bitcoin to be very bullish. So we'll see. But I do expect it to go back above $20 real soon. So it's a good time to get some good value miners as you can. But stay away from the risky ones. Games I play. Do you think blockchains will start merging over the next few years as we figure out the winners and losers of Web3? So I think with interoperability of chains, it will really put a lot of pressure down on those chains that are the most secure, most efficient, quickest, least expensive as we go forward. And marketplaces will move to the cheapest places where they can execute. So think of it as execution layer. That'll be pushed right down. So if you can't compete fast and cheaply, like the days of doing 2.5 transactions per second, not going to work. You need to be hundreds or thousands of transactions per second. And you need to be able to have fees that are fractions of what they are. So again, I hate to use the example, but if you go to a website, look at Solana average fees and look at average fees for Ethereum, and divide one by the other, you'll be blown away at the multiple. It's shocking. So what's going to happen is, I believe only 2 or 3 chains will actually survive, and they'll be the quickest, most secure, and fastest. And we'll see how it shakes out. I know where I have my bets placed, so we'll see. Looks Chris, I have 42 years, nice house paid off 50%. Cryptos are about 60% of my net worth. I want to diversify more into and work less. Any tips? 6% of net worth. So diversify. It sounds like you're all real estate and all crypto. So 60% of your net worth is crypto. 40% is half the value of your house. I would start practicing writing covered calls against solid equities. Buy Palantir at $18. Sell a $20 call 3 months out. And give it a shot. Do it with 100 shares. And then practice. And once you nail that formula, that can generate tons of perpetual income. And you can make solid, regular, monthly, quarterly income that will replace your typical salary. So, Lux Chris, that'll be my advice. Start there. Caligula, Toby, Swedish tech company. Can you check out from Monica? And maybe ask CTO Larson. Yeah, CTO Larson is on vacation right now. He's spending time with family. The other side of the planet. Lucky him. Well, we're here stuck making videos every day for you guys. I will check it out. Toby, I can have a very quick look and see if I've got this special stock database that I use to analyze things. And let me see. Because I know it was... let me see if I have Toby. Toby. Yes, Swedish. Very quick review. Looks like it's fairly priced. It just tanked. That might be why she's looking at it. Earnings were not good. And it looks very undervalued, actually, for what it is. It's unprofitable, which I don't like. I will have a look. It actually looks okay, but it's just beaten down, so that might be one to look at. So I'll take a deeper look, Caligula, and I'll let you guys know tomorrow. Yen Wen. If the Fed comes out hawkish tomorrow, which they will, they have to, all the pressure's on. Are any tech sectors safe? Semiconductors, FANG will be at risk. So I honestly believe it's all factored in. Everybody knows. You gotta understand the mindset of the Fed. Okay, they don't want to rattle anybody, so they virtue signal where they're going to go way ahead of time. That's why I think, you can read the face of Jerome Powell. And he's like, what's he going to do next? Well, he'll probably increase the taper a little bit to try to look like he's making a concerted effort to put a lid on inflation, which can't be controlled, I believe. And that means he's going to double the taper. He already told you he is going to reduce the quantitative easing by 12.5%, which is like 18 billion or something a month, or a quarter. I can't remember the exact numbers. So he's going to double that, and he's going to say, well, we're probably going to increase interest rates sometime in 2022. That's it. So that once the market hears that, they already have that factored in, it'll go up. So I don't think he's going to say, okay, we're increasing interest rates by 50 basis points now, and our taper is going to be slashed by 50%. I don't think that's going to happen. That would just rattle already a very nervous market, because people now realize it all goes back to C19, and the Omi variant is spreading like wildfire, thinking they could contain it in South Africa. It's like, it's so silly, even banning flights. But anyway, that's spreading like crazy, but that's good, because the more and the quicker it spreads, that means the less deadly it is. And hopefully it'll just bring about herd immunity for the world. So I'm very positive on that, but they're not. So we're seeing hospitals being overrun again, lockdowns, mask mandates, all that crazy stuff. So we'll see. In terms of sectors, I think Bitcoin could benefit either way. It's only a matter of time before Bitcoin becomes a flight to safety. I'd love to see, speaking of semiconductors, I'd love to see Nvidia at 220. Then I'd be buying. So, but yeah, hold tight. And some of the other old school technology companies, the Salesforce, the Oracles, they'll all do okay as well. So let me see. The only Fedor, hard time wrapping my head around what Jay Booth is saying about Bitcoin being the only crypto. Will ETH potentially integrate into Bitcoin for DeFi NFTs? The thing is, people like Jeff, why dabble in things that are risky when you have such a pristine asset that is programmed to go up? It's not going to go anywhere else. And they also, I think, believe that the layer 2s on Bitcoin will solve all the problems that the smart contract platforms are doing today. So once that happens and you have that execution layer, which is Bitcoin, and reserve currency of the internet, that is Bitcoin, you're good to go. So it's like, why dabble in anything else? And I think that's where people like Jeff come from. And I completely agree. In fact, if you look at my portfolio concentration of Bitcoin, I'm extremely heavy in Bitcoin if you include all of the proxies, like MicroStrategy. So I'm very much the same, but I also dabble in Ethereum and Solana and some other alts, just for fun. And I think they will do, the reason I get them too is because I believe they'll run a lot faster too. So I hope that helps. The only Fedor. And thank you for a donation. Wayland Yutani Xenomorph. That's a long name. Long-time lurker, like the channel. You remind me of a young David Jason. He plays Del Boy, and he's a national treasure here in the UK, like on YouTube. I'll check him out. Somebody said something about this Del Boy. I thought it was a Deli Boy. I'll check out Del Boy. I wonder, does he have his own channel or whatever? So interesting. Robin Decline. I hope you're doing okay. Poor Chico for being so burnt out. Yeah, that was sad. Much love for the Netherlands. Utrecht. I have worked in Utrecht many, many times. I used to sit in the offices there for years. So I know Utrecht very well. Thank you, Robin. You're very kind. And you're up late. Chadwick, CP. Thank you for your beautiful expression of passion for math and its relationship to everything. Yeah, everything is interrelated. The more I see, there's nothing actually that's not interrelated. So I try and make sense of the world and simplify it. And JRAM, baby is now 11 weeks. Wife is doing great. Fantastic. You've been through the hardest patch, and I hope you guys are getting some sleep. Lots of love to you and your wife. Playing with Pastels, thank you. Todd Punch, Odeniki, Sunny D, Paul Lewis, Rubble Bad Kitty DC, Vagabundirendes Kitchen, and Beatty McGee, and Chad G. Thank you all. I think that should be a good night right now. Let's just check in. We're trying to keep these fast and short to 40 minutes. We check in on exactly what's going on in the market. And would you know it? Hang on. I put a marker as to where I started this stream to see if it went up since I started. And it did. Wow. Well, not much, but no, hang on. Yeah, Bitcoin went up $750 since I started. You guys are amazing. I should bring out the pump. Thank you, everybody. You know, I know these flat parts are hard for people. When the market goes down, it's hard when they have huge expectations. But the future is very bright, and I promise you, it's mathematically programmed. Hang tough, everybody. Thank you. Good night, and take care.